It's general election period. Are you having any doubts or worries about your vote or being kept waiting on the queue for long? Worry no more. INEC has introduced the Bimodal Voter Accreditation System called BVAS for accreditation of voters using their fingerprints or facials for authentication. This device replaces the smart card to eliminate all possible cases of voter impersonation. How does it work? This time, the authentication process is much easier. Unlike the smart card reader, the voter places his or her finger on the fingerprint scanner of the BVAS for accreditation. If the fingerprint is being accepted, that is a successful accreditation. If the voter places his or her finger on the fingerprint scanner of the BVAS and authentication fails, the BVAS can capture the facial image of the voter and is automatically authenticated, provided the bearer is the genuine owner of the PVC. This is INEC's innovative strategy to ensure that all eligible one vote and that their votes must count. No more voting using another person's card or voting more than once. It is one man, one vote. Come out and vote for the candidates of your choice. Vote for your right candidate in this year 2023 presidential, governorship, National Assembly and State House of Assembly elections. It is your right. Don't sell your future and that of your children by selling your vote. Remember, no PVC, no voting. This message is from the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, making your votes count, consolidating our democracy.
Good morning, viewers. You're welcome once again to NOA University's Dialogue. Or I should like to say that people or the citizens on government policies, programming activities, and in doing this, we consciously get a feedback. The whole idea is to get a feedback to enable government properly fine-tune our policy. Through the program, government will know, is this policy going down well or is it not going down well? In the week of the month, the elections, were on odds. The 25th election came and gone, and the aftermath is still with us. Follow in that order, and the 11th, but with some issues here and there, led to the postponement of that election, 24 hours to the governorship and House of Assembly election. So viewers, today, we are still on the topic, March 18 general election preparation and expectation. And with me in the studio today to discuss this timely and apt topic is Mr. DAPPA is a public analyst, and it will interest you to know that he's a priest.
Thank you.
It's my pleasure to have you in the studios.
Good morning to you.
Yes, and on my immediate right we have we are privileged to have a state director who, if you're radio person and you are attached to the radio, you know that from one television house, he's just there, his face is there. And today, we are having him in our own studio. He's no other person than Barrister Young Ayotamunu, the State Director of National Orientation Agency. Sir, we are privileged to have you today.
Thank you for this great opportunity.
Yeah, to honor us. Thank you very much. And viewers, keep the comment coming. The reason why we're here is because of you. We're doing this knowing that you're there. So your comments are very, very important. And with time, we're going to open the phone lines so that you can get to us through that platform. My name is Abiy Senebo. I am your handcall person for today. Now, let's start on this note. As State Director, I want to start with you. Now, the choice of the electorates, that will be made tomorrow, governorship and House of Assembly election, is seen by many as key. It's very key, and it's going to determine the character.
One federal government. That federal government is supposed to be handling some key areas, some areas of common concern. Let me put it that way. And we are talking about issues like currency, currency is something that is very contemporary now in the Nigerian environment. We are talking about currency swap and so on. So the state's common currency is one. Issues of customs is another. We are also talking about issues of migration. The issue of migration, that is another. And the other one has to do with security, national security, talking about a national army, talking about a national navy, air force, and others. They are also part of that. So it is the states that come together and surrender part of their rights towards doing that. And if you go to our constitution, incidentally, you have a federation that is so centralized, where if you go to the exclusive legislative list, you have as many items as 60-something items that the federal government is legislating on, including communication. Communication is very important. So, and then for the states, they have a limited number under the concurrent list. But be that as it may, all those other things that are not covered, either in the exclusive or in the concurrent list, and the residual list, they're actually within the purview of the state governments. And the state governments actually creates the local governments. And even though in the Nigerian Federation, because of the nature of our own fiscal federalism, our federalism is such that we just came out of militocracy for nearly 20-something years, where the military was in charge, and local governments were created at will, and today they are receiving direct allocation. But under a real federal structure, an ideal federalism, which is even rare currently, the states and the counties, what they call the counties, the municipalities, they are under the state government. So if you go to section 7 of the Constitution, you will actually see it playing out there. So when we say that this is very critical, we expect that it is the point where the people decide. It is the election where the people decide who should govern them, and also decide on who should man our legislative organ, that is the State House of Assembly. And to further buttress it, that presently in the Nigerian Federation, the states have become so powerful. You have the National Governors Forum, which is almost like an NGO, or in fact, let's put the pressure group, which virtually intervenes and interferes, even interfaces with government, interferes and interfaces with government on critical national issues that affects the governance of the people. Let me give you two instances. You know that during the constitutional review, the last constitutional review, it's going to a point where there was a stale mill on the issue of local government autonomy. And our constitution is very clear, rigid as it is. You need to thwart the State House of Assembly. Plus, okay, that one does not involve the FCT, but you need that. So at the end of the day, you found a situation where the president had to find a way around it, since it was becoming too delayed, and then asked the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit to come and lead round, and met him and said that legislation or that policy at the end of the administration, that matter has not been raised again. And he also saw the activity of the governors, the recent Naira swap.
You see, in your own view, how important, because it cannot be overemphasized, how important are the people mandate is? Because when you see the mandate, people are just going out to vote. A lot of people do not know that vote transcends today. That vote, talks about the kind of education we have. It talks about the kind of health, facilities we have. It talks about national, a lot of things encompasses. So, what's your take? How important do you think the mandate is? Let me just put it.
Thank you very much. The mandate, right, when people go out tomorrow to vote, they are actually going out to take a stand, to take a decision about what the way forward or what the new Nigeria or the Nigeria they're expecting should be, or because they're going to elect those that will make at the state level and also those that will govern the various states. Let me throw you back a bit to 25th, when Nigerians, when they came out on the 25th of February to come and vote, it was not just they coming out, because there was this mindset of the average Nigerian. They wanted a new Nigeria, just like I said the other time. Now, when I was growing up, right, the longest word in the dictionary at that time was anti-establishmentarianism. It was a movement at that time separate the church from the state, especially in the United Kingdom. And so there was a movement opposing, and it wasn't an anti-establishmentarianism movement. It wasn't like, oh, we're saying Muslim, or Muslim ruling Nigeria, or Christian ruling Nigeria. No. Now, for me, it was more like a consumerism movement. When you talk about consumerism, look at everything and we're disappointed. You see, that is the kind of, because of the kind of Nigeria that they wanted. Now, that same consumerism movement will play out tomorrow again. Now, Nigerians being dissatisfied as a function of the level of service they have received from their state governors and the House of Assembly will come out again to try to elect those they think that can make proper laws for them. But remember, that disillusionment of 2015 rubs off on them has not fully, subsided. Nigerians still have that, mindset, right? That if I come out, are you sure it's going to count? But the election is very important because these are the same people that are going to make laws for us in the various states. So if we do not come out, what happens? We'll get back to that merry-go-round we were talking about, thinking that we're going up, and then we'll come back and make a full circle. So it is very, very important that we as Nigerians, learn from the mistakes of 24 our various state houses.
Disillusionment here and there. The first election, people have their opinion and their views fall short of expectation here and there. But then you cannot leave it. You have to come out and vote because, you can't build, you have to build on something. They said you can't build, so you must come out and vote. Your vote is very, very important. Now, state director, now, consequent upon the challenges, of, the presidential and national assembly elections that, that is now a subject to litigation, so we will probably not go too deep in discussing that there is this palpable concern, for apathy and despair. It's very obvious, he mentioned it, on the part of the electorate arising from disillusionment with, conduct of the February 25th election by INEC, especially, with the failure of the beavers not being able to transmit, this result at real time. It is all of that, large turnouts or a poor turnouts of election, particularly in a participating democracy, so to speak. Yeah.
Yes, if you clearly take a look at the last election, the presidential election, one of the fallouts of that election is that relative to the number of registered voters, which was put at 93-point-something million, and then those who have collected their PVCs also put at 87.4 million or thereabouts. And when you juxtapose it, put it side by side with the total number of votes cast in that election, looking at the first 4 candidates, it came to something in the neighborhood of about 25 million. Of course, the president-elect, it's about 8 million. The next about 7, and then the third about 6 million, and then one other scored about 2 million or thereabouts. That's the fourth contender in their order of results, in their order of votes. Now, that was the situation as at that time. That was the reality that we found ourselves. Even though some people have also contested the fact that some didn't have the opportunity to vote on that day. some persons out of the pressures that some out of difficulties in logistics, some out of the fact that some of the beavers couldn't be operated, some left the polling stations when obviously it was very clear that voting wouldn't take place or voting had delayed. The issues of logistics, which also reminds me of the fact that we have to actually go back to the US Commission to see how we can actually unbundle INEC. They are carrying too many at a time. If for 4 years we still have those glitches, but we'll come back to that. So the implication of it is that if there's a low turnout, then it means that it may not necessarily represent the will of the people, especially for this one that has to do with their development. And a lot of palpable fear currently that people will be harassed, people will be intimidated. There are threats here and there, statements that are being made by gladiators and their followers. In fact, even some of the contestants are also making threatening remarks, and not forgetting also that during the campaigns, the different gladiators, sponsors, and even candidates had actually made one threatening statement or the other. So that could also bring fears into the minds of the people. So the implication of it is that it may not really represent the total will of the people. And that is why for people to come out to vote, it is very important that as merely reflect the minds of the people. So if it is high, well, that is what we assess. Again, when we look at the statistics in the last election, one narrative, 87 point something million because of the issue of apathy but it is not a matter of collecting the PVCs alone, because we also saw situations where people were actually arrested with box. People are participating is the actual number of persons that came out to vote in this election. So that is what we are going to use. Now, like we saw, people we are seeing with PVCs and so on, which is not supposed to be like that. You will see that now that we have the fact that the population that we allude, the large population that even now that, after this we are entering into a digital census, that definitely we are gradually getting to somewhere, to a true representation, mathematical representation of how many we are and how many have voting population and so on.
Yeah, well, thank you, State Director. Reaction, he's telling you that the inroads, the coming in of technology into our elections are actually telling us, what it is really, and not the era of it will amaze you that no state, as a matter of fact, in the presidential election was able to turn out those millions. So come out, your votes. One thing it portends is also that yes, the votes might be dry, but your vote will surely count. The era of stocking ballot papers and then is over. Yeah, let's have that mindset. So what does that tell you? If they cannot write results, if they cannot stock ballot papers, which means that the vote I'm going to vote is going to count. So please encourage yourself, come out. No matter what the disillusionment is, make sure you come out and vote. Yeah, having said that, Mr. DAPPA, now, campaign just ended, midnight Thursday, into the election now, March 16, 2020. And while it lasted, there was a mixed bag. Sometimes you see issue-based campaign. This is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to do with the citizens, our neighbors, our brothers that are living with us. This is what I'm going to do with education. This is what I'm going to do with poverty and all of that. And then other times you hear really attack on personality. You hear attack on personality. And character. Now, some of their sponsors and some the candidates themselves, but past and present, across party lines, judging from previous governorship, elections in the state, do you think the governorship election this time will be more competitive? Judging from the nature of campaigns, the way they carry the campaign, do you think it will be more competitive? And if yes, why do you think so? And if no, what are your reasons?
If you look at all through, if you go back into history, governorship elections, and then look at the campaigns, right?
Yeah.
And then you relate it to what we just saw in the most recent past that ended campaigns that ended on Thursday.
Yes.
You find out that they adhere to the principle of fair advertising. Just like you mentioned, some of them will cast aspersions on the opponent. Some of them even, instead of talking about principles, talking about ideologies, talking about philosophies, talking about what they're going to, and then this also, creates bad blood among their followers, right? And then if their followers have that in their mind, then imagine what is going to come out, right? Play out tomorrow, as per how competitive it will be. Let me say this, right? If you realize the basic truth about advertising in Nigeria is that all advertising has to be truthful, it has to be decent, it has to be culturally mindful, it has to be responsible, it must not be a knocking copy, it must avoid that claim of number one. These are the basic, but you will see where politicians come in and during the advert session, right, where during the campaign sessions, we'll see where they promise what they can't even do. And some of those promises, right, appear utopian to me. Some of them even come onto the podium and I look at them in the face and then they speak for their principal and they tell you things that are, as if we're building, not building a new Nigeria, as if Nigeria, they're talking from space. Be an idea being fed to the public. Their followers, some take this as hook, line, and sinker. Believe it, they want to express that, right, at the playing ground or at the field that day. And so you see some of the great competition, all that they have told the lies, right, and propaganda. For some of them that have told to the general public, their followers will attempt to play that, and that's where the problem comes in trying to actualize that. Look, we told you that we were going to win you, we told you we were going to do this, right? And then they do that by all means, and then they come out. That's where violence, to avoid such violence, right, coming tomorrow. If you now look back and how violent our elections have been over time, it will also tell you that it is not going to be different this time. Because the mentality of our politicians and the political class has not changed. The digital census, I almost laugh because we're all going digital, right? Even the first digitalization by INEC failed the people. So now, how come, what level of confidence do they want to have to come tomorrow, right? With the same level of digitalization that we're talking about. These are some of the issues that are salient. And then for me, there are certain expectations we expect INEC to get security in place. It is key that security for every voter who will be a voter tomorrow should be in place. INEC, so if you are a returning officer and you work for INEC tomorrow, just make sure you have your correct uploading password. We don't want to we said the uploading was the issue, the BBAS couldn't upload directly. Get your uploading password there. Go out with your power bank, make sure that if you're an INEC official, make sure you generate power where necessary, and then these things should be in place. Results, materials must arrive early.
We'll come to that. We will come to that. We will tackle in the course of the conversation. We will actually come to that. At this point, I want to open the phone lines for communication. That's another platform where we wish to hear your voice and not just read your comments. Please, viewers, the telephone lines are open. Please, if you look on the screen, you see it. The number is +234 9166587355. I take it once again. +234 9166587355. Please, when you call, if you're listening to us, you're hooked onto us with any device, make sure the volume is low so it does not interact with our conversation, and then keep it civil. Don't make unsubstantiated claim, because we are discussing for development and for enlightenment and reorientation. Please, we are expecting your call, and I think there are so many, but we'll take them. But before I go to take the message, let me start with you. That's DAPPA. Now, looking at the complexion of the of the incoming 10 Senate and House of Representatives. You know, that's one thing that intrigued me. It interests me so much because we have up to about 7 political parties having candidates there. You know, and it shows inclusion. It shows that the space is opening up. It's not the usual thing that one will have. No, it's just PDP, APC, and PDP, and so the space is showing up. But you know, in a nation. So, would you say we've never seen other party? You know, so would you say it will play out? Same thing will play out. But before you do, let's. I think there's a call coming in. Is a call still coming? Okay. Okay.
Well, if you take a cue from what happened on the 25th of February, right, and then the National Assembly, some want to have 10 tenure. Some want to be in charge of members of the House of Assemblies in the various states. And so you find out that there will be that influence, political influence, by those who are in authority as of today, making sure that that's a polarized system or coming together.
Sorry to cut you. You know, the parties have always been there. Even though APC and PDP are the predominant party, they have always been there. But you hardly can find this inroad that is made where, I mean, the third force, so to speak, you know, is having up to about 30-something candidates or so to 40-something candidates, the senators and all of that. It has not really happened. And then even transcending them, other political parties are having this thing. So would you say, let me come again, would you say that this thing will trickle down, or it just at the same
I don't share the optimism that it will trickle down. At the national level, right? It was the movement, the obedient movement, that changed the landscape. Before the obedient movement came into place, we had a polarized system between the PDP and then the APC. It was there. And then when the obedient movement came in, because it represented a new Nigeria, it represented a dimensional and an ideological mind shift, right, from what was obtainable, Nigerians keyed into it. Now that played out and then trickled down to the federal state. But when you come to the political, go to the local government area, even those who voted, right, from the local units, voted because they wanted that. They were looking down up. But if you look at within the space here, how many Labour Party people do you have that can play the right in various units or in various in the states? Now look at it, and this is a very tough one for INEC if you ask me. They are going to have elections for 28 states, right, and then 993 House of Assembly seats in the various throughout Nigeria. And so if you say it trickles down, try it as a function of OB. Now in the local, at the state level, at the constitutional, the primary constituency level, tell me that person or that ideology represents that ideology. Because OB represented it at the national level. Now, if he can replicate several OBs in the various states and the various House of Assembly units, then the people will key in.
Okay, thank you, Dazeli, for your thoughts. But Director, I want to see, you know, your opinion. I want to see your dimension concerning this complexion now, because it will be very, very welcoming that we have it down the state divisions, not just in Rivers State, but in all of the states, so that debates can be really proper. Houses of Assembly will not seem to be like an appendage of the executive, so to speak, because that coloration will bring that. So I want to hear from you.
Yeah, well, where I have my own reservation is when what happened in the last election is limited to the OB factor. Yes, the popular opinion is that OB represented an idea, but to completely restrict it to him, or to confine it to the fact that it's the OB factor, I don't also agree. Well, it could as well have been a symbol of the struggle, a symbol of the expectation. While OB takes part of the credit for the movement, we must also give the credit to the youth, because it actually had a foundation. The existential conditions that the youths find themselves in Nigeria today, you know, actually also was also part of the trigger of what we saw. In fact, the mobilization with the young people, but then they just needed a figure, a central figure. Let's not forget the fact that in 2021, I hope, That was the year we had the NSAS movement. And that remains an unsettled issue. Even though panels were set up and the commissions of inquiry were set up, at the end of the day, the handling of the white papers and so on, so the young people, they have always had this vision. They have always had a vision of where they want to go. And the fact that today they are operating within a global context and a global instrument, aided by the fact that we are now a globalized, a global village. I wanted to see whether there could be a faced the Nigerian people. One, we were just, and it is still there, the issue of fuel, which is a resource that is ours. Nigeria being the seventh largest oil producing country, and yet we can't find this fuel, at our beck and call, this Nigerian citizens. So generally Nigerians were desirous of a change. This administration of let me also be part of this change. So we readily came to inherit some of these conditions that were there, but he was able to harness them in such a way that it became the symbol of the struggle, and so they rallied around him. Now, coming to the issue of whether apathy or no apathy, definitely that is
the issue of it trickling down.
Yes.
To the states.
Okay, yes. The members. So in the various states, it's politics. There's bound to be alignment and realignment. In cleared, you will also work with Tinubu to get at that result. We cannot run away from that fact. So that in itself is there. So this time around, yes, people looking at the outcome of the last election, these are nobodies. Today they are legislators at the national level. So more people will begin to inroad or begin to challenge the system. The other thing that the last election is that you don't need all the money. You don't need all the money to get there. Hardens the money. And also, the election was also very well monitored in such a way that the cost of dollarization of the elections, where since there was no naira to buy, people now resorted to the use of dollars. So at the end of the day, in conclusion, we expect that with the situation that we now find ourselves, alignment and realignments, even the OB movement, such candidates are strong. So in such a situation, we expect that at least, even in the last election, you notice that Labour, for the first time, had and Labour had a member of the House of Reps, and even in Okreka, APC, in Okreka Ogubolo Federal Constituency, APC also made an inroad of having at least 1%. I also recognize the fact that the incumbency factor and all that might want to play its way, but we also need to look at the future, because even when such people come in the future, is it possible that the governor of resources will want to take these people back into their parties, where these people at the end of these elections are not members of their party?
Now, at this point, we're going to take some messages, some comments from our viewers. Blessing Jumbo, thank you for streaming live with us. Bridget, your INEC promised free, fair, credible elections in the country. What are the modalities put in place to affirm that assertion? INEC, this question, please, if you're watching, also this one from Bridget, your INEC chairman, is a question, very pertinent question. Yes. The appointments are made. He who pays the piper dictates the tune, so to speak. When your appointment is made by a particular person, can you look straight into the face of the person and say, no, I'm going to do the right thing? You need a lot of guts to do that. Thank you, Bridget Devio, for your comments there. This one says, until INEC, prosecute the election violators, of altering or to audit and verify and prevention of voting. They can't be seen as impartial. When are they going to punish offenders? Let people know that if you offend, if you're a victim of an electoral offenses, you will be prosecuted and you'll be penalized. Let it be known to everybody. Thank you there. Charles Williams of Nigerians expect the governorship and the state houses of assembly election to be credible, peaceful, and successful by ensuring INEC, I believe INEC, one way or the other, you'll be hearing or you're listening. This one is from Peter Ikabie. Nigerians believe that adequate time to back up data stored on over 176,000 beavers used for presidential and national. For your thoughts there, Peter Ikabie. This one is also from the electorate. The electorate expects the electoral body play by the rules. I think that's what you mean. Play by the rules of the game. Thank you there for Peter Ikabie. This one is from Y Kana Command. INEC should allow use of temporary voters card in March 18 election as ordered by the Federal High Court sitting in Abuja last week. I think that judgment has been set aside. And
it is for one state.
Yes, for one state. So it cannot be allowed. PVC, what the law said is PVC, and PVC is the permanent voter card. This is that one, the temporary is only just a process of you getting the PVC. It's not what you come with to vote. This one is from Don Somaku. You're streaming live with us. Why can I command? There is no doubt that the better the conduct and management of the election, the more the likelihood of improving the sphere of governance for addressing the fundamental needs and aspiration of the citizen. Thank you very much for this from Rosemary Abihad. Nigerians believe in talk and do. So if INEC wants the citizen to trust them because of the painful and deceitful show played out in the presidential election of 25th February 2023, the citizens, the Assembly believe in governance and the State House of Assembly is to be done according to the electoral guidelines. Yes, thank you very much. INEC, this election is used to redeem your image to an extent, because a lot of people seem not to be satisfied with what happened. Mary Brown, it's good to know you're streaming live with us. Let's enjoy. Thank you, Smith. Awesome. Thank you for commending the River State Dialogue. Please keep the message coming as much as we can. We can still take the message. Now, that's DAPPA. What is the guarantee? What is the guarantee that what happened in the presidential and the National Assembly election will not repeat itself come 18th of March 2023? What is the guarantee?
The only guarantee we have is the guarantee given to us by INEC, telling us that they have taken note of all that happened during 25th, and that there is problems and challenges they had will not reoccur. To INEC now to be able to prove that tomorrow. The taste of the pudding is in the eating thereof. As Nigerians will wait for INEC to be able to prove that to us for tomorrow. And remember, I did mention that the loss of confidence in INEC has to be fully restored, and INEC has that opportunity to do that tomorrow. I think ensure basically that there are certain things that occurred last time that should not occur again tomorrow. I.e., the material should arrive early. INEC should ensure, and then they work intend. I think they are doing those to the people. I mean, this is talking about the state assemblies, and then it's about the people now. And so the people might be, those on the bad side or those on the left side of society have to be transparent this time around. I suggest that there is no whispering. Sometimes, and you want to do this, and then even the officer there is the one whispering to you, say, vote to this party. And then they should ensure that the beavers works and that they transmit directly from there. Now they should also ensure that those in charge, where the electricity as well, those in charge, their officers who are responsible for making sure that generators and all that By now, they should have perfected that. INEC should also ensure that the INEC chairman did promise after that when he made a statement after 23 that all those that were part of, they were found culpable in the last will not be part. How sure are we? That's what I'm saying, that it is what INEC tells us how prepared they are. They said they are prepared. They asked for 1 week. They have 1 week, and we have tomorrow. It only falls on INEC now to be able to prove and then build that confidence, restore back that confidence. If they do that, maybe the challenges, maybe the wounds of 25th of February might be a bit healed, and then might bring a little succor to Nigerians. So say that, meaning that, at least